Shalom. First thing and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Noise in the gospel, bro, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the Spirit. Coming to you with this lesson, it says, now, this whole thing about this black alien bullshit has been going around, which this has been a talk for years. Okay, I remember I seen a video a while ago with this ex-NASA scientist said he saw 7-foot tall black angels, which I assume they would be taller than that because, I mean, technically, to be honest with you, angels, I mean, angels can manipulate height, you know, they can manipulate appearance, you know, because they have the power to do so through the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. But the average man in the ancient world was fucking 8, 9, 10 feet tall. Then the angels were twice as tall as us. All right. So an angel can be up to 15, 20 feet easily, you know, but he said he saw a 7-foot black angel. And when he described it, the guy, the ex scientist at NASA, I mean, you can hear the terror and dread in his voice. Okay, now, why angels do take on the appearance of Israelites, okay, being the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, which they can, you know, dark skin, medium fair skin to big bushy fros and braids and beards. That was an account of this book. She was an Iscarite lady. She wrote a story. I forgot the name of it. I think it was called like The Supernatural or something like that. But in her book, she drew what the angels look like. And even in the book, they gave the description of what they look like. Now, this has been some time. This may have been like 12 years ago, because I remember reading about it when I first came into the truth. It was put in the format like a video or like an audio book from what I can remember. But the pictures I saw, she drew what appears to look like Israelite men with afros, beards, and braids, being of black and Hispanic descent. And this is how she described the angels. So, and definitely they would take on the appearance of the Most High and His Son. Not saying a carbon copy, but they will follow after the visage of the Heavenly Father because, I mean, they're created by the Heavenly Father and His Son. Okay, and we're the sons and daughters of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So it makes sense that when the angels do take on a human or a humanoid form, they will come in a spirit of so-called, or they will look at like so-called black men, okay, which angels can come in many forms. Okay, so I'm going to play this video here of this Edomite right here, basically showing you or describing what he saw, which totally disturbed him because Esau understands, he knows. And he knows that the end of his kingdom is near and his kingdom is going to go down by, for one thing, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai coming back with the fleet of angels and ICBM nuclear missiles. But the war in heaven, the chariots, is what terrifies him because now this thing has been declassified back in 2021 because everybody got a smartphone. Everybody can record the footage. Everybody see what the deal is. So they understand, you know. Now Jake is Johnny come lately as usual. Now Jake's acting like they're so deep. Oh yeah, the aliens are black and they coming in. Nigga, we've been bringing out the fact that the angels are, or they can come in the appearance of men of color. Okay, the apostles been bringing that out since before 2007. And me, us, you know, the brothers, because I feel like we came like in a second, like you had the first wave of YouTube, which some brothers say from 2007 to 2010, okay, if you want to be exact. Then you got 2011, and then, you know, another batch of brothers came in like 2017. But I say the first wave of YouTube, 2007, 2011, we came in within that group. We've been talking about the angels and the chariots and the so-called UFOs while you niggas was still playing fucking 2K on Dreamcast and all this other shit. You know, you niggas wasn't on a holistic type eating. You wasn't on a working out method. Niggas are talking about CMOS now. Oh, yeah, brother, you got that jar of CMOS? Yeah, man, that's good for the skin, brother. Like, nigga, shut your ass up. We've been talking about this years ago. You know, but it's just like a nigga that want to take all the credit and not give you how about you, how shy damn thing. But anyway, slack you for the rant. Here we go.
Maybe like us. Not positing the idea that those vehicles contain, you know, beings who are, you know, maybe like us.
They're in one image. They're that shows black people getting off.
So people with dark skin getting off,
Not dark, black.
black skin.
Really black. Yeah.
Were they tall?
Yes.
Very tall?
Yeah.
How tall? Do you know?
Well, they got out the doorway. I don't know how high that is, but
Well, what?
say 7 feet would be probably a conservative estimate.
Huge cigar-shaped ship appeared over the Air Force base. These cigar-shaped ships were over a mile in length. One of them landed on the airport landing strip area. The back of this craft opened up, and several hundred young men with huge, heavy weapons came out of two sides of the ship and formed a protection line around the ship. And the people at that Air Force base, the commander, had a meeting with the individuals that were aboard this ship. And this particular race that landed those ships and that are seen in these huge cigar-shaped ships, they are a black race. They look like African Americans. They were about 6'4", 6'5", huge weapons. And if you've ever seen a race of people that were conquerors, that had never been conquered, they've got this look about them of arrogance. That is exactly what these extraterrestrials had, and they informed these people at this American Air Force base that not only were they from a militaristic society, but they had control a large portion of the galaxy that.
So are you not
I
positing
remember
the
that
idea?
story, but I don't think all of it is together true. I mean, because they got to going off talking about, well, I forgot, but they were explaining that the angels were telling them something, but the angels ain't gonna talk to you, man. Ain't got nothing to talk to you about, especially not no damn Edomite. So I'm a little weary about that second story, but you know the depiction of them is on point. Like I said, angels can very well change their appearance. Okay, some of them can be 20 feet, 30 feet tall, 15 feet. Well, ideally, angels can range, and I can't put a number on it, but ideally, you would think an angel would range anywhere between 8, 9, 10 feet, because even King David had to be about 9 feet tall. So we know that they're much bigger than us in stature. Hell, the angel that popped up at Elder Mwatazak's camp, I mean, he looked like to be average height, but it was something different. He had a regal appearance to him, you know, very stern, austere. And, you know, he just looked like he was huge, man. All right. Now you got this simpleton. How do we signal them to come pick us up? Like, man, shut your simple ass up. You have to be of the elect for one thing. And if you're not of the elect, then the Lord you ain't getting picked up by no angels, bro. Especially not a nigga that shaves his beard off. It says, is there a designated pickup spots? Do I need to pack anything? I'm ready to go right now. Jake is tired. It says, or do we need to hide while they destroy everyone that has done us wrong over the past few centuries? I need answers. Wow. It says High Priestess Erica. You know, this bitch is a witch. High Priestess. Give me a break. You niggas ain't getting up out of here. You niggas are going to burn here because the angels are going to aid in destroying you too. You know, now everybody is hip to what we've been talking about for the last decade or so. And the apostles going back to 30, 40 years. You jakes are sickening, man. See this. NASA says saw 7-foot tall aliens that tall, black, look like African Americans, which there's no such thing as African American. All right. But they are Israelites, meaning the race Israelites. All right. Not the angels, but, you know, they still are basically the angels of Israel, of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. All right. But they're not a physical race of people. It says, I can't make this up. We are chosen, not aliens. The Son of Man is black. And before someone says color doesn't matter, you are right. But what does matter is the truth. Well, yeah. And alien just means foreigner. Okay. We were known as, they call alienated.
NASA scientist is saying that he saw a 7-foot tall alien race that looked like African Americans on what he described to be getting off a mile-long spaceship. Let's talk about it. Now, this is all alleged, but I have seen some sources that has talked about this claim, and I honestly don't put anything past it because there's just nothing that I don't believe when it comes down to these extraterrestrials. And my first thought when I read that he saw this race that resembled Africans was the Anunnaki. Now, it was alleged to have been seen at some time.
All right, that's good on that. I don't want to hear that mess. All right, now this is Ezekiel, the first chapter, New Living Testament. It says on July 31st. Really? There was no July 31st during the time of the Babylonian Empire, man. All right. But it says, of my 30th year, while I was with the Judean exiles beside the Kebar River in Babylon, the heavens were opened and I saw visions of the power. And this happened during the 5th year of the king of Jonathan's captivity. And the Lord gave this message to Ezekiel, son of Buzi, a priest, beside the Kebar River in the land of the Babylonians. And he felt the hand of Yahweh take hold of him. As I looked, I saw a great storm coming from the north, driving it before a huge cloud that flashed with lightning and shone with brilliant light. It says that there was a fire inside the cloud, and in the middle of the fire glowed something like a gleaming amber. So this is describing a ship. Now, when you see these movies like Independence Day, World of Worlds, they show you these crazy looking spacecrafts. Well, they get it out of the Bible. Okay, they get the whole flying saucer disc or the wheel within the wheel. It comes from the scriptures. Like Independence Day, that's right out the scriptures, man. But the only thing that's about that movie that's not accurate is the fact that they depicted them as hybrid looking creatures. And on top of that, Esau managed to defeat the angels and send them back to where they come from, which that's not going to work. Okay, no matter preparation or training you devils can do to stop this incoming onslaught of your kingdom. You know, because even the military colonel said, well, look, these things have advanced technology, thousands of light years ahead of our own. And ain't nothing we can do about that. And I believe it was Reagan, if I'm not mistaken, and one of them presidents, maybe Nixon, Reagan, I don't remember, but he said that, you know, what if we all died and go to heaven and realize God is black and we'll feel shitty for how we did as people. So they know what's up, man. You know, those little fuzzy footages of these alleged crabs that they be getting that's in black and white and all this other stuff. Look like some shit off an X-File infomercial. Man, look, Esau has gotten pictures of the angels up and close and personal. Like, I really believe that. Okay, as sophisticated as his Hubble telescopes is and his observatory and his technology and the billions he's put into finding out what harbors in the heavens, I guarantee you the angel allowed himself to get caught on camera. And I guarantee you he's seen an angel in there that looked like a typical Jake. Probably the big bushy fro, the beard, the afro or the braids or the Caesar, you know. Hey, he may have had waves. Who knows? I'm scoffing. But they know them, Mitris, garments. And there was one video, and I still got this picture on my phone. I remember the brother Bakwasha from Houston did a lesson on it, and I did a piggyback on it. I think it was like at the Washington Redskins game, and they looked at, and it appeared this angelic figure in the audience. Now, from hindsight, you can't really see it because it don't really stand out until it stands out. Now, some people say that it was photoshopped, it was this, it was that. We don't know, but whatever was in that audience, it looked at abnormal. It looked at a lot larger than the average human because the head was huge. But when you seen it, it had a look of austerity, had like dark copper skin, okay, with a woolly afro and a big beard. You know, and I will go, and, you know, and honestly speaking, I can actually post it in the what do you call it? I could post it in the what is it called on here? The community post on YouTube. I can post it just to piggyback on this lesson. If, you know, brothers think I'm lying about which brothers know I'm not lying, but I'm saying you new followers out there. So we got pictures, man. In the spirit, I just saw a chariot last night, which we see them all the time, but, you know, sometimes you go without seeing them. But it says, from the center of the cloud came 4 living beings that looked human. Oh, see, they took on the appearance of a man. It says, except they each had 4 faces and 4 wings. It says their legs were straight and their feet had hooves like those of a calf and shone like varnished bronze. Now, let's look this up, right? the color of varnish bronze. Bingo. See? And this is the color that angel looked, the one I was talking about at that Washington Redskins game. This is basically the depiction of how they describe Yahweh Shai, man. A very dark-skinned man, like a dark-skinned, dark goldish type hue. Very dark. That's why that man said black. Okay, because this is dark. This is a derivative of brown. You know? Dark. So that proves right there the angels had dark skin. Okay, it wasn't what Esau depicted on a Sistine Chapel when you got the Most High with a damn jerry curl with a bathrobe wrapped around and he's touching tits with some rosy white cheek strawberry babies, man. You know, all fat, double chin. You know, clearly look like Renaissance art because that's when it was drew. I think it was by Leonardo da Vinci, if I'm not mistaken. The Sistine Chapel. I think that picture was painted back in the 1400s. But the Most High looking like looking like fucking Gerardo or some shit with blonde hair, touching tips, looking gay as hell. I'm like, that's not the Lord, nigga. But it says here, and they shone like varnished bronze. Under each of their four wings, I can see human hands. So each of the four beings had four faces and four wings. So they had the appearance of men. Now, when it's describing like the appearance or like the face of an eagle, face of a lion, that goes into like the characteristics, the attributes, man, because we know the eagle is very swift, okay, very agile. Same thing with the lion. Okay, an ox represents strength. You see, leopard represents a lion represents courage, you know, a leopard represents strength, motility, you know, etc. But it says, and the wings of each living being touch the wings of the beings beside it, and each one moves straight forward in any direction without turning. Now, when you look at the way that a craft or a so-called UFO maneuvers, it basically don't even turn. Okay, there's no left turn, right turn, up, down. It just go in particular methods because it's of fourth dimensional matter. Okay, now it can make a left turn, but it's not going to be like an average three-dimensional turn from a steering wheel. You can just go and cut like a chariot. Like, look at how flies or particular insects fly, how they can maneuver up and down because they defy some type of semblance of gravity. It's the same thing with the chariots because the chariots are not bound by this world's rules, man. Okay, we're dealing with something from a whole different world, a different realm. Okay, because I always like to say that there's a world within our world, and that's called the spirit world, the fourth dimension, which is technically all around us, man. You know? So, yeah. But it reads, and it says, each human had a face in the front. It says each had a human face in the front, and the face of a lion on the right side, and the face of an ox on the left, and the face of an eagle on the back. And each had two pairs of outstretched wings. One pair stretched out to touch the wing of the living beings on the either side of it, and the other pairs covered his body. So this represents angels in a ship. And it says, and they went in whatever direction the spirit chose, and they moved straight forward in any direction without turning around. All right, so that goes into that defined third-dimensional gravity, okay, because these are spiritual beings. And it reads, and it says, and the living beings look like bright coals of fire. It says, look like bright coals of fire or brilliant torches, and lightning seems to flash back and forth among them because that's how quick they made. And oftentimes you see the chariots, they look like flashes of light. And the living beings look like, I read that, and it says, and the living beings darted to and fro like flashes of lightning because the chariots can disappear. They go in out of portals, in the portals, out of portals. And it says, and the living beings darted to and fro like flashes of lightning. And as I looked at these beings, I saw four wheels touching the ground beside them, one wheel belonging to each, which ships, and the wheels sparkled as if made of beryl. And all four wheels looked alike, and all were made the same. Each wheel had a second wheel turning crosswise within it. And the beings can move in any of the four directions they face without turning as they move, okay? Which proves that the angels they're not bound by this world's rules, man. Okay? The spirit controls those ships. It's like a how do they say metamorphosis? How do they say like cloaking almost? It's like they can like if you ever saw Power Rangers, man, when Tommy he can pilot the Dragon Zord from his flute, but also when he got that Tiger Zord, he didn't necessarily have to control it physically, but he can do certain things remotely inside the Zord, and then the Zord will mimic what he do. It's kind of like with the angels, you know? And it says, and the rims of the four wheels were tall and frightening, and they were covered with eyes all about. And the eyes just goes into the lights around the saucer when it goes in like a three-dimensional sense, or circumventing. That's talking about the lights from the ship, man, that you usually see when they're flashing. All right. So yeah, man, that's good on that. But this is something that we've been talking about. We've been speaking on this for ages, man. But the world was just getting hip to it, you know. Oh, damn, that's deep. Nah, we've been talking about this. Okay, I knew about this breakdown like when I first came into truth, man, because, you know, we took extensive notes. We watched the elders and the apostles, and of course, we studied for ourselves, and the Lord gave us the understanding and the revelation, and this is where we got from it. You know, so you Jakes are late, man. And this is why you people gonna have to seek the men of the Lord to really get understanding when your world falls, because hey, you people don't know. Okay, you niggas are because you got TikTok now, everybody's a prophet now. Everybody knows. You Jakes don't know a damn thing, man. Okay, like I mentioned, Jake just got on a CMOS 2 years ago. Now everybody's a fucking holistic nurse. Oh yeah, you gotta mix the CMOS with this, and then you gotta have the turmeric, and you gotta have the slippery elm bark with the marshmallow root, and that's gonna make you you gonna be good, brother. But yet this nigga was just eating J&J's catfish with all types of bones in that shit with some Louisiana's hot sauce and white bread. Like, nigga, have a back seat, man. All right? Because you people, man, you stay taking credit away from Yahweh Shem Yahushua and his men. And it's coming to a point in time that you Jakes, you gonna have to seek us for answers, man. Okay? Because y'all niggas ain't got it. Talking about some fucking Anunnaki. I know goddamn that Kemet left hand, man, look. Dead that noise. All right? And I get this. Matter of fact, I got two more precepts here. This is the book of Acts 1. And I'm going to start at verses 9. And it says, and when he had spoken these things while they were beholding him, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. Okay, that cloud is that ship. And that could have been that same cloud that was in the wilderness to shield us from the Egyptians. Because when the ship cut off the light in the back, it pretty much blinded those Egyptians, man. And this can be the same ship that Yahweh comes in on. Okay, we don't know, but, you know, the scriptures go into the angel of the Lord, man, which is Yahweh. And it reads, and it says, and while they looked steadfastly towards heaven, as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel. See, it says men, but they were angels. All right, which also said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye up gazing into heaven? And the reason why we knew they were angels is because they had white apparel. Okay, it's known that angels will wear white. Okay, I mean, of course, they can come in whatever clothing that they choose, but overall, you know, the color in the heavens from what we read is like a gold or white, and we always speculated to be gold and white, even though there's multi-colors in the heavens. But when you think of an angel, but has Yahweh Shem Yahushua, you think of a white garment, you know. But also going back to the story of Simeon Toko, when basically he made a prophecy, he said that, well, look, you know, they're coming and there's going to be something twice. I think he mentioned something along the lines that, there's others like me coming, and when they come, you ain't going to be able to do nothing with them. Okay, now, of course, we speculate he was speaking of us, but also I think shortly after they allegedly murdered him, because they could never kill him, okay, because he was really an angel. But when they allegedly killed him, I think maybe years down the line, there was like some type of cosmic activity with these angels, and you know, and they said one angel had a fucking semi truck, and he was like sweeping it like a you know how like you do like a one when you wandering around. They said the angel had like he was like waving his semi truck with one fucking hand and just sweeping it like it was a broom. Like I was like, golly, you know. And I think they described it, or some story I heard about the angels, they described them of having like this gold armor on, you know what I'm saying? Like the gold armor. So, I mean, it makes sense, in my opinion. But it says, the same Yahweh which is taken up from you into heaven shall come in manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. So he's coming back in the ship, man, and he's going to deliver his elect. And this is what Jake don't understand. Talking about, oh, where we going to go? Do I go somewhere and get picked up? Yeah, sure. You're going to get your ass zapped, man. All right, because the Lord ain't just picking up any old ninja. All right, you got to be of the elect before you even considered getting on a chariot of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And we hope we're of the elect. Okay, Revelation 1, and I'm going to start at verse 7. It says, look, he cometh with the clouds of heaven, and everyone will see him, even those who pierced him, and all the nations of the world will mourn for him. Yes, Amen. Talking about when Yahushua comes back, because he's coming back in a so-called UFO that Esau calls a UFO. You know, Revelation 19, and I'm going to start at verses 11. It says, and when I saw heaven open, and a white horse was standing there, that's talking about a ship. The rider was named Faithful and True, for he judges fairly and wages a righteous war. And it says, and his eyes were like the flames of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and a name written on him that no one understood except himself. And he wore a robe dipped in blood, and his title was the word of Yahweh. And the armies of heaven, dressed in the finest of pure white linen, followed him on white horses. And from his mouth came a sharp sword to strike down the nations, and he will rule them with the iron rod, which proves there's going to be violence in the kingdom, and he will release the fierce wrath of the Most High, the Almighty, like the juice flowing from the winepress, which goes into who died Bosworth from Edom, because the winepress represents what the Lord is getting ready to do to you Edomites in your kingdom. You know? But anyway, I'm going to end it, giving all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Bashim Yahweh Shai. Lord's will, you will edify. To the next lesson. Shalom.